Story 1. In a calm, segregated farmhouse, a family coincidentally finds an old, disrupting porcelain doll stowed away in the dusty storage room. Its lustrous eyes appear to follow everything they might do, and its broken porcelain skin radiates a ghostly atmosphere. Disregarding the disquiet it brings, they choose to show it in the parlor, believing it's simply an exceptional embellishment. As the days pass, a disrupting presence covers the house. Objects mysteriously shift places, and weak murmurs reverberation through the corridors when nobody is near. The family canine won't go into the room with the doll, snarling and yelping at its dead structure. Sunset strengthens the disquiet. With squeaks and rearranges seeming as though somebody, or something, is moving about, one night, the most youthful little girl awakens to a chilling sight. The doll, when fixed in the parlor, presently remains at the foot of her bed. Its disrupting grin appears to extend more extensive in the faint twilight. Frozen in dread, she looks as the doll's head gradually turns, its look fixed upon her. Heart beating, she pulls the covers over her head, frantically trusting it's simply a bad dream. However, the experience is heightened. Consistently, the doll moves nearer to her bedside. Its strides, a shocking blend of porcelain taps and murmurs, develop stronger in the quietness. Every morning, she finds it inches nearer, its agitating smile always scratched into her memory. She becomes tormented by clear bad dreams, caught in a turned existence where the doll's malicious chuckling consumes the space. Frantic to get away from the dread, the family looks for help from a neighborhood paranormal examiner. Through chilling EVP meetings and serious exploration, they uncover the doll's upsetting history, a vessel for a vindictive soul looking for retribution against the people who violated it hundreds of years prior. The family understands that the best way to end the bad dream is to return the doll to its unique resting place and play out a custom to mollify the vindictive soul. As they face the doll one final time, they experience its rage and contempt radiating from the porcelain figure. With shaking hands, they cautiously place it in a crate loaded up with defensive spices and images. With crushing sadness, they excursion to a ruined timberland, directed by old texts and the examiner's mastery. In the core of the backwoods, they see as a congested, neglected grave. They play out the custom, looking as the doll is consumed by a supernatural light. The air develops still, and a ghostly quiet settles over the forest. As they get back, the harsh air that once tormented their farmhouse lifts, supplanted by a feeling of harmony. Yet, in some cases, in the calm of the evening, a far-off murmur reverberations through the breeze, conveying a chilling update that a few spirits can never really be mollified. Story 2. You and your companions have forever been attracted to the spooky and obscure. Thus, when bits of gossip about a spooky deserted refuge arrive at your ears, there's no doubt about the thing you will do this Halloween night. Energy flows through your veins as you accumulate your gathering and go out to the edges of town. The moon balances high in obscurity sky as you approach the refuge. Its transcending, incapacitated walls appear to entice you closer, however a shudder runs down your spine. The air is thick with expectation, a combination of dread and rush that zaps the environment. With electric lamps close by, you push open the rusted entryways, their pivots moaning in fight. The way forward is congested with weeds, and the breeze murmurs insider facts as it stirs through the neglected leaves. You trade anxious looks with your companions, yet nobody expresses a word. The main sound is the mash of rock underneath as you adventure further into the core of the refuge. Your electric lamp radiates uncover spray painting covered walls and broke windows, similar to eyes keeping a close eye on you. As you step through a messed up entryway, a virus breeze moves throughout the hall, conveying a chilling murmur that makes the hairs on your neck stand on end. You feel the heaviness of the structure's set of experiences, the aggravation and experiencing that once reverberated inside these walls. A glinting light grabs your eye down a faint corridor. Heart dashing, you follow the source. Your companions not far behind. Each step appears to repeat stronger than the last, as though the actual refuge is alive and relaxing. Shadows dance along the walls, twisting into abnormal shapes that make you question what's genuine. You arrive at an immense, open room loaded up with rusted beds and worn-out sleeping pads. Moonlight channels through broken windows, projecting spooky outlines on the rotting floor. Murmurs develop stronger, covering and interlacing, making a bewildering orchestra of voices that tunnels into your brain. Unexpectedly, a far-off shout punctures the air, freezing you in your tracks. Alarm flows through your veins as you attempt to pinpoint its source. However, the shelter appears to move and twist, making it difficult to tell where the sound is coming from. Your heart pounds in your chest, and you trade mad looks with your companions. In a condition of elevated strain, you feel something brush against your shoulder, sending a shock of fear through your body. You twirl around, electric lamp shudder, yet there's nothing there. Your breathing becomes shallow and quick as you understand that you're in good company. Something concealed and vindictive hides in the shadows. As you and your companions scramble to find a leave, the walls appear to shut in, the passages bend and lengthen, and the actual refuge transforms into a horrible maze. Your heart is a steady drumbeat in your ears, overwhelming your own heaves and the reverberations of your strides. At long last, you burst through the front entryways, coincidentally finding the twilight evening. You glance back at the shelter, its exterior both threatening and appealing. The air is weighty with the obscure, with the waiting impression that you've scarcely start to expose the detestations that exist in this Halloween night. You will always remember the chilling excursion you took into the core of the neglected refuge, where reality and fear became one. Everlastingly engraved on your spirit. Story 3. Whenever I first looked at the town, it appeared as though a spot frozen in time. Its roads were fixed with interesting houses, each enhanced with pumpkins and spider webs for the approaching Halloween festivity. It was the ideal setting for an end-of-the-week escape, or so I thought. As my accomplice and I crashed into the town, a feeling of disquiet settled over me. The roads were shockingly tranquil, without any trace of any indications of something going on under the surface. The main sound was the stirring of leaves in the cool pre-winter breeze. We disregarded our anxiety, crediting it to the early hour. We found a motel that showed up straight out of a storybook. Its entryway patio embellished with cut pumpkins and glinting lamps. The owner, an old lady with a knowing grin, invited us energetically and gave us a bunch of old-fashioned keys. Our room was comfortable, with creaky wooden floors and a perspective on the town square. As night drew nearer, we branched out to investigate the town. However, something was off. Regardless of the adornments, there were no indications of something going on under the surface, no youngsters playing, no retailers keeping an eye on their stores. Maybe the town was pausing its breathing, hanging tight for something. Night fell, and a feeling of premonition got comfortable the pit of my stomach. We got back to the motel, and that is when things took a chilling turn. The owner, her grin now more obscure than inviting, informed us that the town had an exceptional custom on Halloween night, a fabulous disguise ball in the town square. She demanded we join in, guaranteeing us it would be an encounter like no other. As obscurity encompassed the town, we advanced toward the square. The sight before us was dreamlike. The residents, all wearing elaborate outfits, moved in scary sluggish movement. Veils disguised their appearances, and their developments appeared to be practically mechanical. Panicked, we joined the group, the air weighty with expectation. The clock struck 12 p.m., and the disguise started vigorously. In any case, as the music expanded, something felt wrong. The veils, when static, started to change, curving into bizarre, horrible appearances. Alarm flooded through me, and I got my accomplice's hand, attempting to track down an exit. In any case, the town square had changed. The cobblestone roads extended unendingly this way and that, driving back to a similar ghostly scene. Alarm set in as I understood we were caught. The disguise proceeded, the music becoming stronger, muffling our requests for help, hours obscured into a terrible murkiness. Faces behind the veils wound and distorted, their chuckling transforming into tormenting snickers. My accomplice and I gripped to one another, frantic to get away from the stifling bad dream. Similarly, as trust appeared to be lost, a voice reverberated through the square, an eerie song that sliced through the confusion. The residents froze, their veils gradually getting back to their unique structures. The landlord arose, her presence instructing. With a grave look, she uncovered reality, a reveal that bound the town to remember similar horrendous Halloween, rehashing similar occasions again and again. With a last, distressed look, the landlord set a cover in my grasp, a veil that bore my face. She murmured that the best way to break the reveal was for somebody to take the cover and become the new guide of the grotesque disguise. Eagerly, as sunrise broke, I settled on my decision. I wore the veil, feeling its weight settle over me. The residents, presently liberated from their frozen state, scattered. My accomplice's mournful eyes met mine one final time before I ventured into the focal point of the square. Thus, I turned into the guide of the vanishing town's reviled Halloween, a puppeteer in a horrible dance, perpetually remembering the eerie disguise. Story 4. From the second I moved into the old chateau, I detected a disrupting energy inside its walls. Antique furnishings and faintly lit passages added to the shocking environment. In any case, it was the elaborate mirror in the hall that held a vile mystery. One night, while passing the mirror, I got a brief look at developments somewhere off to the side. I turned, yet the reflection showed the same old thing. I excused it as a stunt of the light, yet that was only the start. As days transformed into weeks, the mirror appeared to hold a weird interest over me. I'd find myself gazing into its glass, attracted to the profundities past my appearance. In some cases, I could nearly make out faint murmurs, as far-off voices conveyed by the breeze. Late one evening, as I looked into the mirror, my appearance started to autonomously move. It enticed to me, its finger twisting in a coaxing signal. I staggered back, heart beating, yet my appearance's developments proceeded unaffected. The air developed weighty with a powerful presence, and I understood that the mirror was an entrance to something past. Panicked, I attempted to pull away, however an undetectable power held me set up. The mirror's surface undulated like water, and a dim figure rose up out of its profundities. It looked like me, however its eyes were empty, its grin malicious. A chilly, taunting giggling reverberated through the room as I battled to break free, with a flood of frenzy. I figured out how to tear my look away and staggered in reverse. The mirror's surface got back to business as usual, yet its murmurs persevered, presently stronger and more dire. Rest escaped me that evening, tormented by dreams of the figure from the mirror following through the chateau. As days transformed into a restless haze, I understood that the figure was developing further. Apparently at the edge of my vision, waiting barely hidden. Its murmurs developed more clear, provoking me with privileged insights and commitments of force. I looked for replies in the chateau's library, uncovering an old diary that discussed a dim custom performed by a past proprietor. The custom included a reviled reflect and a vindictive soul caught inside. The more the proprietor looked into the mirror, the more grounded the soul became, until it had the option to escape into this present reality. Furnished with this information, I endeavored to oust the soul. I scoured antiquated texts and counseled mediums, frantic to break the mirror's hold. However, the soul retaliated, its presence turning into a stifling weight that invaded my contemplations. One evening, as I gazed into the mirror, the figure's giggling consumed the space, resonating through my psyche. In an attack of distress, I broke the mirror with a weighty candle. Yet, the chuckling just strengthened, and the shards of glass appeared to change, reassembling themselves into the figure's ridiculing look. Acknowledgement struck me, the mirror was no customary article. It was a conductor for a pernicious power that had acquired strength through ages. As the figure got out of the mirror, its malignance flooded, overpowering me. My own appearance started to bend, its elements twisting into a vile smile. With the last slivers of my self-discipline, I figured out how to get some distance from the mirror. Breaking its look. The figure's chuckling blurred, and the house fell quiet. I realized I needed to obliterate the mirror for the last time. With shudder hands, I gathered each shard of glass, sprinkling them with salt and reciting spells I'd learned. The air snapped with energy, and the mirror's hold debilitated. With a last eruption of force, the mirror broke, its vindictive presence disseminating into nothingness. The chateau, when tormented by the mirror's revile, felt lighter, as though a weighty haze had lifted. The experience had incurred significant damage, leaving me with tormenting recollections. Yet, I realized I had prevailed over the mirror's vindictiveness, banishing the curved reflection that had taken steps to consume me. As I pushed ahead, the chateau started to feel like a home by and by, without the vile power that had prowled inside the mirror's appearance. Story 5, the house generally had a quality of disquiet about it, however I never gave a lot of consideration to the murmurs that reverberated through its passages. It was an old family home, went down through ages, and still up in the air to make it my own. Much to my dismay, the shadows that moved along the walls held insider facts hazier than I could envision. It was on a blustery night that I originally experienced them. Lightning streaked outside, projecting inconsistent examples on the walls. I was separated from everyone else in the house, and a disrupting feeling settled over me. As I moved from one space to another, I got looks at development in my fringe vision, shadowy figures that appeared to shoot away when I went to look. I let myself know it was only my creative mind, a stunt of the glinting lights and the tempest outside. However, the sensation of being observed never wound down. I'd see them somewhere off to the side, crouched in corners or prowling in entryways. They were vague, similar to ink stains on the real world. However, their presence was certainly chilling. Rest became subtle as the figures became bolder. They'd show up at the foot of my bed, their structures moving and transforming in the haziness. Murmurs swirled all around, muddled words that creeped me out. Every evening, they appeared to move nearer, their presence choking, not set in stone to reveal reality. I dove into the historical backdrop of the house. An old diary uncovered that 100 years back, the house had been the site of a grisly homicide. A family had been mercilessly butchered inside its walls. The shadows, it appeared, were remainders of that fierce past, waiting in the texture of the house. As I read more, I learned of a custom intended to pacify the wrathful spirits. The custom included candles, salt, and spells, a method for directing the shadows back to where they should have been. Outfitted with this information, I set out on, not set in stone, to carry harmony to the tortured spirits caught inside the house. The evening of the custom was loaded with strain. Candles glinted, creating moving shaded areas that appeared to taunt my endeavors. The air developed weighty, and a discernible feeling of fear settled over me. In any case, I proceeded, recounting the spells and spreading salt all through the house. As I completed the custom, a quiet fell over the house. The shadows appeared to stop, as though taking into account their best course of action. Then, gradually, they started to withdraw, blurring into the corners from which they had arisen. The air cleared, and a frightful quiet settled over the house. Before very long, the environment changed. The murmurs stopped, and the sensation of being watched lifted. The house felt lighter, as though a weight had been lifted from its establishments. It appeared to be that the custom had worked. I had figured out how to direct the waiting shadows back to the past, where they should have been. However, the house actually held reverberations of its spooky history. It was as of now not a position of pernicious shadows. I had confronted the haziness that dwelled inside its walls and arisen triumphant, demonstrating that even notwithstanding the heavenly, the force of information and assurance could win. The end.